Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to the NoDQ.com live recap of Monday Night Raw for January the 10th, 2022, as we continue on the road to the 2022 Royal Rumble pay-per-view. We had some declarations for the Rumble. We had some matches to build up matches for the Rumble. Let's go ahead and get into this recap. Shout out to everybody watching this, whether it's on YouTube or on Facebook or Twitter. Regardless, I really do appreciate your viewership and support. Let's get started. We kicked off Monday Night Raw with the reigning and defending WWE Champion Brock Lesnar, along with Paul Heyman. We had Bobby Lashley backstage, and he was approached by his former Hurt Business teammates, Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin. He told them that there's no more Hurt Business. The Almighty works alone. And he told them to leave and get out of his face. Back in the ring, we had Paul Heyman doing the introduction for Brock Lesnar. Lesnar started to talk, but he was quickly interrupted by Bobby Lashley. MVP was with him. MVP did an introduction, and then Lashley talked on the mic. He said it was an honor to stand in the ring with Brock Lesnar. But with all due respect, Lashley said, for the past 20 years, Lesnar has been ducking him. Lesnar responded by saying, with all due respect, it's an honor to be in the ring with Brock Lesnar. Lesnar said for 20 years, he's been winning championships, and he did not have a clue who Bobby Lashley was until day one. He apologized for not knowing who Lashley is. He said that if they did meet at any point in time, he would have already beaten Lashley. And then Lashley's outfit was complimented by Lesnar. Lashley responded by saying that Lesnar's a funny guy. He can do comedy after he loses at the Royal Rumble. And Lesnar said he makes money and he's funny. He did a knock-knock joke with Paul Heyman. He said, knock, knock, who's there? And then he said, Bobby who? Paul Heyman said Bobby who, and Lashley or Lesnar was like, exactly. And Lesnar said that he will be impossible to beat at the pay-per-view. It's impossible to beat Brock Lesnar, especially when somebody like Bobby Lashley is a Brock Lesnar wannabe. And then he dropped the mic, left the ring. The Hurt Business attempted to attack Bobby Lashley, but he ended up getting the upper hand and he beat the crap out of his former teammates. It was a pretty good opening segment. The only thing is, I was hoping for more Paul Heyman and MVP verbal jabbing. Now, maybe we'll get that next week or something if Brock Lesnar's not going to be on every show. Lesnar's been doing a lot of shows. He's been on several of them now. I suppose they could save that for next week where Heyman and MVP just have a segment with the two of them. I'm looking forward to that. But this segment was fine. Mr. Anderson sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. It says, Bobby Lashley doesn't work alone. He has MVP. Yeah, but I guess technically MVP doesn't count since he does wrestle from time to time. I guess MVP just doesn't count because he's technically a manager. He has that manager's license, which I guess doesn't make him an equal entity as Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin. Anyways, moving on here, we had Randy Orton and Matt Riddle, the tag team champions, backstage. A little pre-match promo for their title defense. And Orton just wanted Riddle to tag him in. Because unlike last week, Orton wanted to make sure he got tagged this week. Riddle was in the match the entire time last week, and they lost to the Alpha Academy in a contenders match. And Orton went as far as to tag in Randy on the hands of Matt Riddle. Anyways, we had the tag team title match. Alpha Academy challenging RK-Bro for the titles. They worked over Riddle for a while, but Riddle hit the floating bro, and he managed to tag in Randy Orton. He got the job done. Orton was cleaning house for a while. He hit a superplex to Gable, which is shades of his dad, Cowboy Bob. Otis then got the tag. Orton was not aware of it, and Otis took advantage of the situation, hit the power slam, and picked up the 1-2-3 victory. New tag team champions. I have to say, I am a little surprised. I was not expecting a title change. I was not expecting Alpha Academy to win the tag team titles from RK-Bro. I did think maybe the Street Profits had a chance at day one, but I figured this was just going to be a throwaway match, just a filler match for RK-Bro. I'm a little surprised. I am hopeful, though, that this will lead to Matt Riddle turning heel against Randy Orton, because Riddle did his part this time. He tagged in Orton, and Orton took the loss. Mr. Anderson with a $5 super chat says, didn't see the Alpha Academy winning the tag team titles. Maybe this means the RKO breakup is coming soon. Well, yeah, this definitely opens the door for it. And I was thinking WrestleMania. In my mind, WrestleMania was the place where we'll finally get Randy Orton versus Riddle one-on-one. And like I've been saying, I hope it's Riddle that is the one that goes heel and he drops the whole comedy routine. And Greg thinks maybe at the Rumble they get their rematch and they lose again, and that's what leads to Riddle beating up Orton. One can only hope, Greg. I think that would be the right way to go, in my opinion, but we'll see. We had a 6-man tag team match. Holla, holla, holla. We had the Street Profits teaming up with Damian Priest against the Dirty Dogs and Apollo Crews. The heels got no entrance, which usually means they're losing. They worked over Montez Ford for a while. Dawkins eventually got the hot tag. Priest then had some words on the outside of the ring with General Aziz, or Commander Aziz, whatever his name is. Apollo took a cheap shot at Priest, and then Montez Ford came over the top with a big dive onto everybody. But back in the ring, Ziggler was left alone with Dawkins, and Ziggler hit the zigzag, scoring the 1-2-3 victory over Dawkins. Is this the first time Ziggler has won a match since he was drafted to Raw? Maybe he won one I think he won by DQ against Damian Priest, but does that really count? When's the last time Ziggler won a match via pinfall? Yeah. Anyways, this was just your standard 6-man tag team match. Not too much noteworthy to say about it. We then had Seth Rollins come to the ring for a promo. He talked about being excited for the Rumble to finally become the Universal Champion. He talked about how he got the match by taking matters into his own hands, and he was interrupted by Big E, the former champion. Big E said he was officially entering the Rumble. He intends to do at WrestleMania what he wanted to do with day one, and that's beat Seth Rollins and walk out as the champ. Rollins said it wasn't going to happen, and then Big E issued a challenge right there on Raw, him and Seth Rollins. Rollins said he wasn't ready, even though Rollins was wearing his ring gear. I guess he just wasn't ready to fight Big E. He said maybe next week in a better town. Big E demanded that they do it right there on the spot, and Rollins finally accepted. And we had our match, which was a really good match back and forth between these two. Big E had the early momentum. Rollins came off the top with the flying knee, took control for a while. Big E did his dive to the outside. And then later, Rollins hit a frog splash. Big E kicked out of that. It continued to be a competitive match. Rollins countered the big ending, and he tried to go for the pedigree, but that did not work out for him. However, he did finally hit the curb stomp, and he picked up the 1-2-3 victory clean over Big E. Now, if this is the WrestleMania direction, Seth Rollins somehow wins the Universal title and the titles swap, Rollins can always say, and if Big E wins the Royal Rumble, Rollins can say he beat Big E clean. We'll see if this is the direction they're going. That is what's been rumored. And yeah, I really enjoyed the match. And I think if they are going to revisit this for WrestleMania, then this was the right finish, because Seth Rollins could say he beat Big E clean in the middle. Matt Helms says he likes the t-shirt. Well, thank you for that, Matt. I appreciate it. We had Nikki A.S.H, Nikki A.S.H, and Rhea Ripley in the ring for an interview. And Nikki challenged Carmella and Zelina Vega to a rematch for the tag team titles, but Rhea Ripley was not on board with this. She actually thought that they were going to come out there and announce that they would be entering the Royal Rumble. And the interviewer asked about potential issues. Rhea Ripley did not want to air any dirty laundry, but Nikki did. And Rhea Ripley said that they should just go their separate ways. She was very respectful about it. Nikki, however, got angry, said that friends stay together through thick and thin. And Rhea said she never thought she was better than Nikki. She said she just wants to do her own thing. She tried to leave the ring. Nikki kept talking, and then Rhea finally said, all right, let's just shake hands, be done with it. Nikki said that she cannot shake Rhea's hand until Rhea says that she believes in Nikki. Rhea said she does, and she hopes that Nikki doesn't stop believing in herself. And the two of them hugged. And finally, we got the big moment where Nikki snapped. She shoved Rhea Ripley down, beat the crap out of her. And I'm all for this. I've been saying this for a while. The Nikki A.S.H superhero character, to me, has been a complete dud. She badly needed this, and we'll see where they go with it. But at least it's moving in the right direction for her. Let her go back to her old character, or maybe make her some kind of demented superhero-like character. We'll see what they do. I hope whatever they do, it works out. I'm not totally sold that it's going to work, though, because I feel like they'll make it lame, like the Alexa Bliss stuff. We'll get to that here in just a few moments. But at least for this angle, I did like it, and I'm glad that they shot the angle and they're going with it. Oofman with a little Simpsons reference. These pancakes are stuck together. That's what good pancakes do. Like a friendship, they stick together. That was a good Simpsons episode. And a comment from Facebook, Brandon says, make Nikki like a Joker heelish character. Yeah, I just worry that it'll go down the same route as Alexa Bliss, where it'll just be really annoying. But we'll see. if Nikki is kind of like her old sanity character, I think that this could work out nicely for her, and this can be what she's really needed. The superhero thing has just been a complete bummer as far as Nikki being wasted on the main roster. We had Dana Brooke and Reggie backstage, and Reggie had gotten them some cheesesteaks since they were in Philadelphia. However, he sensed some trouble. And sure enough, R-Truth and Tozawa were up to their shenanigans. And the cheesesteaks ended up being thrown, but Tamina was the one that got hit with the cheesesteaks. Ha, ha, ha. And Reggie ran into Omos. Omos was grabbing Reggie, choked him up against the wall, and then Omos went to the ring for his match against a local competitor, i.e. somebody who will probably be on AEW Dynamite in a year or two, knowing how these types of enhancement matches on Raw go. They tend to be somebody that ends up on AEW Dark and then ends up on Dynamite. Yeah, Omos just beat up the guy, and I'm all for this. I like the squash matches. I definitely think that they should be a regular thing. Just let Omos destroy people and have that go on indefinitely, and you'll make the most out of Omos. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, who's left in the women's tag team division? Pretty much nobody. I mean, that's the reality of the situation. You literally got no other teams. I suppose the Bella Twins, after the Rumble, they can challenge for the tag team titles. Maybe the Bellas can just win the titles and then retire them. And that's it for the women's tag team titles, because the division is beyond a joke at this point. They really should just put it to pasture. There's pretty much no tag team division at this point. It's beyond ridiculous. We had a cutting edge segment. Edge interviewed his wife, Beth Phoenix, and he praised her, talking about how she's been kicking ass, and there's a total of 35 championships between them. They're both in the Hall of Fame. He had a video package made for her, and she basically said, you know what, if you're trying to butter me up for later on in the evening, you're doing a pretty good job. She said that flattery will get him everywhere. And Edge in his mind is probably thinking, we need a live sex celebration at this point. And she even said, down boy. So yeah, a little bit of a fun moment here between the two of them, husband and wife. And you had Beth starting to cut a promo, and you know what? I like Beth Phoenix as much as the next person, but her promos are still pretty rough. It's not her strong suit, in my opinion. And Miz and Maurice quickly came down to the stage, and this is where it made up, because Miz can make it work, and Maurice just standing there reacting could make it work as well. Miz said that he heard about the video package being made for Beth Phoenix, so he got one made for Maurice as well. They aired that video package, and Edge admitted that Maurice works hard, but Beth Phoenix is somebody who smashes things, faces, and people in particular. Beth then got back on the mic, said that Maurice has become awfully quiet and shy since she returned, and she said she is going to wreck Maurice at the Royal Rumble. Maurice at this point walked off as Miz was still talking, and Beth said that if Maurice doesn't show up, she'll take pleasure in knocking Miz's teeth down his throat, knocking his teeth in. Walter Cruz sent in a $5 super chat, says, Division would love to see Nikki burn the superhero outfit in the trash can and slowly go psycho. And we slowly see her go psycho after she acts like a maniac. Yeah, I'm all for that. I would be fine with her burning the superhero gimmick and just going into that dark place. We'll see what they do. I'm going to try to be cautiously optimistic. We had Austin Theory backstage interviewed about his match with AJ Styles, and he said that Vince had some advice to him. Don't screw things up. We had a match between Austin Theory and AJ Styles, which was a standard match, pretty straightforward. Ended in a DQ when Grayson Waller from NXT attacked AJ Styles. That caused a disqualification. And then Austin Theory grabbed his phone, took a selfie with AJ's body, and took off. Styles, however, was able to fight back against Waller. Waller did escape. And then backstage, Waller said that he was going to give Styles he was there to give Styles a little preview of what he was going to do, or what he's going to do on NXT 2.0 this week. And that match is coming up on this week's show. AJ Styles versus Waller. You know what? It's all good. They're using Raw to build up an NXT match. So there you go. Dr. NXT Scorpio. 2.0 Scorpio now. Nicely done with the change. He sent in a $5 super chat. He says, the segment with Nikki and Rhea was hard to sit through. Sad to see the women's division crash and burn over the last few years. Well, especially the tag division. The tag division, I mean, there's pretty much no division now. But yeah, I know what you're saying. The women's division feels like it passed its peak. But they got a pretty nice build-up for the Women's Royal Rumble so far. And they did put the women in the main event segment on this show. And we'll get to that here in just a few moments. But now we have to talk about Alexa Bliss for a minute. Alexa Bliss, she's back and she's in therapy. She has a therapist, and the doctor showed footage of Lily being destroyed several months ago. He asked her, how does it make her feel? She said it makes her thirsty. She grabbed a pitcher and just dumped out the entire pitcher. And then she grabbed the therapist by the tie, asked him how that makes him feel. Then she started breaking things in the office, and that was the segment. And yeah, they're pretty much still doing Alexa Bliss, the Bray Wyatt-like character, whatever. I mean, I think it should just be a reboot. Maybe it will be a reboot. Maybe next week there'll be a follow-up and we're going to find out that she is going to be cured or something. I don't know. But so far, I'm not really caring much about this. The game is on 200, sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. It says, we all know that Beth Phoenix will mess Maurice up for real. I don't know about that. I think she's a professional. I don't think that she's going to mess her up too badly because Maurice has some other gigs outside of WWE. You gotta protect that money maker. Mr. Anderson with a $2 super chat says the Alexa segment was cringe. I agree. I was not a big fan of it, but as they say, I'll let it play out. I'll give it time and see what happens. Maybe they got some kind of plan here and it's going to turn out into something quality, but we'll see. Dr. NXT 2.0 Scorpio sent in a $2 super chat, says, we all need therapy after watching Raw every week. Well, that is certainly an argument, that's for sure. One could argue that we need therapy just watching wrestling, period, but especially Monday Night Raw. We had our main event of the evening, the number one contenders match for the Women's Championship opportunity at the Royal Rumble. Becky Lynch came to the ring first, cut a promo about her challengers, blah, blah, blah. It was Bianca Belair versus Doudrop versus Liv Morgan. Becky was doing the commentary. No Veer, by the way. Uthman wanted to know if Veer had any segments. Nope. Not even a Veer is coming. Veer, he stopped coming. I mean, he was coming for so long. He ran out of being able to come. And now he's done. Anyways, we had a hot start for Bianca Belair, but then Doudrop used her power, hit the crossbody onto both of them. Doudrop dominated for a while, but she missed the cannonball into the corner. And then that's when Bianca started to get back into it, hit a spear to Doudrop. All three women ended up down at one point. Liv got the rings of Saturn on Bianca, but Bianca managed to get out. And then Doudrop powerbombed Liv. Bianca Belair came off the top with a 450 splash to break up the pin. And then Bianca hit the KOD to Liv, was on the verge of winning the match. But then Becky Lynch interfered, breaking up the pin. Now, because this was a triple threat match, it was no DQ. Becky stopped the pinfall from happening. And then Becky and Bianca brawled on the outside of the ring. Back in the ring, Doudrop hit what might have been the worst bonsai drop I've ever seen and picked up the victory over Liv Morgan. So they're doing heel versus heel at the Royal Rumble. Doudrop versus Becky Lynch. I don't know what to think about this one. The only thing is maybe Bianca gets added to make it a triple threat at the Royal Rumble. That's literally the only thing I can come up with as to why they would go with this finish, because Becky Lynch versus Doudrop doesn't seem like a fitting match for your second biggest pay-per-view of the year. We'll see. I mean, Bianca can argue she got screwed and they set up a triple threat, which I guess would be a better option. And at least that would be different, I suppose. Steve-O says it's different. You'll give him that. And that was Raw, everybody. Becky tried to attack Doudrop afterwards, but was unsuccessful. Show was decent. Not great. I would somewhat recommend it. I mean, the Brock Lesnar, Bobby Lashley segment was pretty entertaining. And you had the title change. Alpha Academy winning the tag team titles. You had a few quality things on this show, but yeah, it was a pretty average Raw in my opinion. Definitely not a must-see show. Mr. Anderson with a $2 super chat says heel versus heel like the Roman and Rollins match. Well, yeah, and that's all the more reason why I think that maybe we are going to get a triple threat and Bianca gets added to it. Maybe even Liv gets added somehow. Maybe they do a fatal four-way. I don't know. You know, they recycle the same types of ideas where they do the triple threats and fatal four-ways. Nothing would shock me at this point. And to respond to Darren, I do not see Doudrop as the champion. Quite frankly, I don't see Shayna as the champion either. Good old JM, Jeff Meacham, has arrived. He sent in $5. Thank you, Jeff. He says, good show other than the Nikki and Rhea and 24/7 A- from Jeff. He says, much to discuss tomorrow at 10 p.m. on the Talk Wrestling simulcast on all the various channels, including No DQ. So Jeff will be on after NXT. Make sure you guys tune in for that. Talk Wrestling with good old JM, Jeff Meacham. Anthony thinks that Liv will win the Raw Women's Championship at WrestleMania. I don't think so. I think Becky Lynch is moving on to bigger things. Whether that's Ronda Rousey or somebody else, time will tell. Maybe Bianca does win the Royal Rumble again and faces Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. But it's either going to be Bianca or Ronda. I really don't see it being anybody else at this point. Anyways, guys, that's all I got for tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in for the Raw recap. I appreciate your viewership and support as always. Make sure you guys head over to NoDQ.com for the very latest wrestling news and rumors as we continue on the road to the Royal Rumble. And remember, say yes to No DQ. Have a great night, everybody, and I will see you all next time.